Joining us now to take a look at this troubling development is Auwal Musa Rafsanjani, who is head of Transparency International Nigeria and chairman, Board of Trustees, Amnesty International Nigeria. Thanks so much for joining us on Newsday. Now, I would like you to tell us more about the parameters that were used for this ranking.
Thank you very much. As we all know, every year, Transparency International do conduct and aggregate these data from different sources. Some of these sources, Nigerian government is actually part of it. For example, Nigeria is part of the World Economic Forum Executive Opinion survey that is this data is also taken. Also, Nigeria is part of the Economic Intelligence Unit, country risks. Nigeria is also part of the PRS International Country Risk Guide. Nigeria is also part of the World Bank Country Policy and Institutional Assessment, which also even borrow money to the country. So these are not sources that are not unfamiliar with the government. Only that our government continuously continue to deny when Nigerians experience this terrible corruption. You do not even need anybody to tell you that the public sector corruption has actually undermined our security, safety, undermined the economy, undermined even our value system. It has terrible implications for our development and even democracy that we have. So rather than official mixing up and dismissal and continue to dismiss this fact, why can't Nigerian government be honest and sincere to say that, yes, we are having this issue, what can we do to deal with this matter? Like we have seen in other countries. In this report that Transparency International released, countries like Belgium, Canada, and Switzerland, they all fall down. Their ranking has also gone down. They did not come to make abuses or dismissal. They only want to see how they can block leakages. Why can't Nigerian officials also begin to think in that direction? Last year, United States of America and Britain, they also come down, their ranking come down. None of these countries made all sort of dismissal or abuses. It is only Nigerian officials who are enjoying and benefiting from corruption that we see them coming to open their mouths. When Nigerians are suffering from corruption, they are suffering from the consequences of corruption. Public sector corruption is a major challenge. You cannot get passport, international passport, you have to pay bribe. You cannot get job, you have to pay bribe. You cannot get medical care, you have to pay bribe. You cannot get appointment or anything in this country. Even driving license, you cannot get it, you have to pay bribe. On the road, so many police officers do extortion, and yet some people will come and tell Nigerians and abuse their sensitivity to say that this report does not tally with what they are doing. I also want to state clearly that this report is not an assessment of the government anti-corruption. It is not also an evaluation of the EFCC, ICPC, or any anti-corruption. It is simply looking at corruption in public sector. And Nigerians are suffering from it, from bribery to abuse of public office to diversion of public funds. Even recently, Mr. President complained of budget padding and abuse of also constituency project funds by some of the members of the National Assembly, both at the state and the national level. I think it is important that we begin to be realistic and also respect the sensitivity of Nigerians. If because you are having a rented protection in government and you are enjoying everything, and you think Nigerians that are suffering, that are dying as a result of the act of corruption, and that when they speak, you now abuse them or you frame them or you completely show lack of interest to block the leakages, I think that is very, very unfair. That is not what democracy said. And as a patriotic, responsible citizens, we have every right to let government know that something fundamentally is going wrong and there's need for government to close the gaps that we have, either through policy, legal framework, or enforcement, or even compliance.
Auwalu, so, let me just interrupt you right there. Auwalu, let me just interrupt you right there. And since you are talking about the policies that can be implemented to maybe even help us move up in these rankings, The report also says that Nigeria is the second most corrupt in West Africa. The first most corrupt being Guinea, which is currently going through, as we know, a coup right now. What are the things that we are getting wrong, and how can we begin to try to correct them?
Okay, one of the major, there are some reasons why we are having these challenges. First and foremost, as you can see from even the points that we have mentioned, corruption in the security sector is a very, very threat to peace and security in the country. Money are diverted that are meant to provide weapons and equipment to the police and army. This money got missing. Auditor report also clearly shows how arms from police, over 150,000 disappeared, are missing. Nobody accounted for that. Also, the corruption, the political corruption, where a lot of politically exposed persons are involved in money laundering and illicit financial flow, are happening. Nobody is challenging them. So far, 3 major international reports of scandal had mentioned Nigerians, some of them public officials. Till today, Nigerian government has not taken action to even investigate them. Pandora, Panama, and Paradise Paper. These are international scandals that have been investigated, and Nigerians public officials were mentioned there, and yet government has not done anything. Secondly, the government is not even willing to ensure that electoral transparency, electoral integrity is also adhered to, or we have it. Currently, there is a bill in the National Assembly to amend our Electoral Act. It has been like a nightmare. Nobody wants to take concrete progressive action toward ensuring that we restore confidence in the electorate by ensuring that we have transparency in the electoral process. That is also foiling electoral corruption, a situation whereby people use illicit financial funds or money laundering to come and peel into political party to capture the elective positions and continue to carry out their corruption activities is not going to help us as a nation. Also, respect for rule of law is also a major challenge. Right now, there are some challenges with the judiciary. Some judges that were investigated and found guilty of corruption, they are now back to the court, therefore eroding confidence on citizens on justice, and also even the way the appointment of judges are done. These are also serious concerns. Now, another major fundamental challenge is shrinking of civil space. The media and the civil society, especially human rights and anti-corruption activists, they are facing serious harassment and challenges with some of the people within the authority that they think that they must not say the truth and that they must not talk about human rights issues, they must not talk about anti-corruption. And they are finding ways to ensure that they cage them, they blackmail them from saying that. But all I'm saying is that CISLAC, Transparency International, and all other partners that are fighting corruption in Nigeria, their major interest is to see how they support government, sincere effort to deal with corruption. And that is why many of these groups are working with the EFCC, ICPC, Code of Conduct, so that they can provide necessary support to achieve the fight against corruption in Nigeria. We are not worried about those individuals who are benefiting from corruption when they come to talk in favor of defending corruption in Nigeria. We are not worried about them because we believe that there will be a time when they will account for their action. And again, we are also saying that there's need for government to invest in public education around corruption, the implication of corruption. Right now, what you see, you just see arrest, you just see some the thing that will not help to prevent corruption. We need to work toward preventing the corruption from happening. We don't need to invest so much money reacting to issues. Rather than we should invest money to ensure that we block the leakages, we block the possibility, the potential of even corruption taking place. Again, there are some legal framework that you are not still having it. For example, whistleblowing regime is not there to encourage Nigerians to speak out against corruption or expose corruption. Even the freedom of information that we have as a law is being completely disregarded, disrespected. We have public procurement law in this country. Public officials, they don't comply with that. There's no way, our rating, there's no way dealing with corruption can happen when it is just reduced to mere campaign and slogans and occasionally showing that you are doing something when in reality, those who are perpetrating this corruption, they are untouchable. Once they move to, your party, then their case will be stagnated and nothing will happen. There's no way with those kind of approaches you can, expect Nigerians to appreciate whatever you are doing, or even the international community. So the better Nigerian government sit down to look at how they can drastically deal with issue of corruption at local, state, and national level, because corruption is happening at local government level, at state level, and even at federal level. Look, every year we are losing over $18 billion to illicit financial flow. And people are not being arrested, people are not being asked to account for this. We cannot continue this way. The various government report has already indicted so many government agencies. The Auditor General report is very clear. You see all the tiers of government, the legislature, the executive, the judiciary, they are all involved in abuse of public office through, either direct diversion of money or even perpetuating the corruption. And then there are so many, issues around asset recovery. You recover from yesterday looters. Today you cannot give account of what you have recovered. We cannot go continue like this. If you want to fight corruption, you have to be decisive, you have to be committed, you have to do it holistically, you have to work with everybody in this country, whether you are a security man, whether you are a policeman, whatever you are, you have to be part and parcel to support the effort of anti-corruption. It's not about making slogans.
All right, then, Auwal, I want to go back to some of your critics. Some of them, I want to sort of gauge how you would react to them, because some of them are questioning your assessment parameters, which gives Western countries receiving illicit financial flows a clean bill, and while thumbing down countries that are victims of graft. In fact, some say that your assessment of Nigeria is actually based on outdated data sources. So when you hear criticisms like that, how do you react?
No, those people who are making those reactions, they are also part of the beneficiary of looting and the wrong system in the country. So they will do everything possible to depend, the way and manner in which they continue to collaborate to undermine the country. But any honest and sincere person will know that we are talking about public sector corruption. I had mentioned earlier on, in the other country that they are talking about, how do you need to pay bribe to get passport? Do you need to pay bribe to get driving license? Do you need to pay bribe to go and get medical attention? Do you need to pay bribe to get admission? These are the things that we are talking about. So if those countries are involved in other things that are also tantamount to corruption, we say it. For example, last year, when we did our ranking, we rank America low. It fell down. We also rank Britain down. We rank other European countries that these people are talking about down. In this year, currently, Belgium is down. Canada is down. Switzerland is down. America retained its last year's position. It didn't make any progress. Britain made some slight improvement. And France.
I think we should.
When people are dishonest.
Yes, why don't we concentrate on Africa? Because in Africa, we know that there's a lot of corruption. But to say we are the second most corrupt country in the entire West Africa is a little belittling, wouldn't you say? Especially when you compare, like you said, when leaving the Western side aside. In Africa, there's a lot of corruption that goes on. So why should we be the worst?
Well, because Nigeria, given the impunity in the corruption, given the outright looting and stealing, the president always made mention this. And in fact, when the current government came, they saw the loot that took place in the previous administration. And for the fact that the system has not changed, the way and manner in which public officials did not change their behavior and their character, you don't expect the ranking to also change. Once there's a change in the way and manner in which, if Nigerians can simply, follow the due process and get, services, public services, I can tell you that this ranking will change. But as long as this corruption in the various ministries and parastatals did not change, as long as public sector, did not change in the way they conduct their thing by extortion and bribery and corruption, there's no way. This is not sentiment. This is not sentimental. This is about the fact that people are experiencing this terrible thing. And that's why every time the president is talking about fighting corruption, because if there's no corruption that is undermining our corporate existence, the president will not even be talking about corruption. So government is talking, EFCC every day is arresting people who are involved in financial crime. ICPC is arresting every day people, public officials who have diverted funds. So if you say there's no need for us to do this ranking, then why are the anti-corruption agencies also doing the work that they are doing, which is helping to also minimize the corruption in the country? So I think let us take away sentiment. It's not about sentiment. It is about doing the right thing. Let us have the policy and legal framework in place and its implementation and compliance also be done. If we do that, I'm telling you, a lot of people will have a different opinion about Nigeria ranking. But for now, the outright looting and stealing and conniving to undermine public security and even economy in the country, you cannot expect any rating to payable a system that's so porous, that allow people to do whatever they want to do by undermining the corporate existence of the country because of their selfish interest to acquire money and use the money again to plunge into election so that they continue to capture public offices and continue to emasculate the resources of the country to their own advantage. I think we should better be honest and sincere and be patriotic. It is not about defending wrong thing. If anybody is involved, I can tell you that some of the people in government, when they are in government, they want to depend independable. When they are out of government, they will want to come and celebrate and join.
Auwal, I have to interrupt you one last time. We have run out of time. Thank you so much for joining the conversation this afternoon and sharing that index with us.